exactly. I mean, you can just take away a lot of those things and, just to give your body a chance to de-inflame and the gut to heal. And of course, I went all organic. Of course, I mean, I was eating well before I got sick. I was healthy. I mean, I grew up healthy. I didn't grow up the way kids did. This was back in 1999 when I first started getting sick.
All right, guys, got Dr. Pompa back here. This man's been going viral. Thanks for coming back on, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's do it. Biohack yourself this weekend as well, right?
Yeah, we're over there at A4M and all the events that are going on.
Let's go.
So,
I've never been to A4M. Have you been going to those?
It's huge. I used to speak there, and I haven't in a while, but for no other reason, just doing other things. But it's a great event.
Yeah. You've been in the space for a while. People think you just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's true. 20 years of teaching doctors, right? You're right. It's like, unless you show up on social media, and the only reason I'm there is because of my kids, by the way. My son Simon makes me do a certain amount of videos. He follows me around. Otherwise, yeah, I would still be teaching doctors somewhere.
I love it. Do you feel like people are more receptive these days to your advice?
Oh, yeah. It was such a battle in the early days, right? And now people are open to it. Back then, even 20 years ago, you just didn't have the amount of thyroid conditions, people without energy, people needing medication and stimulants. And today, I mean, it's the majority of people. If you have 10 people in a room, I promise you 8 out of 10 have major complaints today. Yeah. Here's the problem, though. People think it's normal now because it's so common that people are just walking around with the lights turned down, and it's become like normal until you turn the lights up and they go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know life could be this. Your generation, I fear for, right? We have this massive rise in autoimmune. We have rises in cancer rates. And also just the unexplainable stuff, right? The hormone dysregulation and the brain fog, anxiety, can't sleep. Your generation is plagued with this, but there's a reason.
Right. I think we've gotten so used to it, right? Because it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was like gradual. So
absolutely.
Now we're just like used to the lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And people blame social media for a lot of it, but look, social media is good and bad. I'm not making an argument either way here, but what I'm saying is it's more than that. Your generation is just being crushed with certain types of toxins that we'll get into and talk about. It's, the body can only take so much.
Right.
Before the bucket overflows, as I say, and then the symptoms start. And then if you have them long enough, they become normal until boom, you get a diagnosis. Yep. And then what?
Which toxins are you the most worried about?
Look, heavy metals are a big deal. There's different neurotoxins. And what I mean by that is these are toxins that go into your brain, into your nerve tissue. They're not normal toxins. They're absolutely deadly and ruin lives. Mercury ruined mine, so I'm always worried about mercury. Aluminum's a big one today. And here's the problem with that. We have gained a lot of mercury from our parents, okay? And the reason why, it's generational. So ladies, the number of fillings you have in your mouth is proportional to how much mercury is found in the baby's brain.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's called the DSH study. It's a German study that they did, was the first to correlate that. So that mercury goes into the brain. That was an autopsy study. So you're talking about really accurate measurement here. So those silver fillings, by the way, have 50% mercury. Okay, so that's where it starts, from the womb, but it's also from the tomb, like all these mercury sources today. But aluminum is just been like this in the last 10 years. One of the surprising places is that they actually use it as an additive in jet fuel.
Huh.
And so this nano particles of aluminum are falling from the sky. Of course, the industry is saving billions of dollars, I'm sure, right? But we're being affected by aluminum that's falling down in our water and food supply. You put mercury and aluminum together, the lethal dose value raises. Okay, these are both neurotoxins that go deep into the brain, right? And they drive inflammation. And then we'd have the first sign, brain fog, can't think, right? It's like, those types of stuff. But then it can become more serious. And I think that's what we're seeing. But this synergy of these two metals is absolutely deadly. So I'm very highly concerned about that. I'm concerned about the amount of plastic that we're consuming right now. Did you say, okay, first of all, I think I've just seen people on your show here talk about 1 week, a credit card size of plastic is what we're eating.
Right.
We're not physically eating. It's in everything, from the water we're drinking, 240 1,000 microplastic particles in 1 liter of water,
Crazy.
right? I mean, that's crazy.
Shout out to today's sponsor, Specialized Recruiting Group. When your company has a position to fill, are you really seeing the best candidates? Sure, you get plenty of resumes, but you may be missing an untapped resource, ideal candidates who are not currently job searching. The good news is you just need Specialized Recruiting Group. Specialized Recruiting Group is ready to find the talent you need. Go to srgpros.com, see how our recruitment specialists with a deep understanding of experience and expertise you need can find the right fit for your business. After all, you deserve to see the best candidates possible, both active and passive. We're here to guide you and help you find a role that fits, all without costing a dime. Meet Specialized Recruiting Group, offering a tailored approach to find your next role. Go to srgpros.com and get on the right course. Your local Specialized Recruiting Group team knows which businesses are hiring and can offer you a path to contract and full-time roles. Take the next step in your career by starting srgpros.com.
Okay, so the new study that just came out, they're talking about a teaspoon of plastic. Okay, teaspoon of plastic they're finding in autopsies in the brain.
Wow.
This particular study, they looked at autopsy. They looked at bodies from 2016 to 2020. And what we've seen is every year there's a rise. And this stuff's accumulating in people. Meaning the further we are on the scale, 24 is worse than the next year, right? So it's every year people are getting more and more plastic in their brain. Every year. I mean, a teaspoon of plastic, that's driving inflammation. Oh, then we're already exposed to mercury and aluminum that's in our... No wonder we have all these people walking around brain fog. No wonder we have thyroid conditions soaring because all of those things disrupt thyroid hormone, our hormones in general, and just simply keep us from feeling like ourselves.
And IQ levels are dropping pretty fast.
Oh, yeah, and IQ levels. Okay, I know there's so much controversy about fluoride right now because one of the things that Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., has stepped out and said is we're going to get rid of fluoride.
Right.
My gosh, you think that this guy's a studied guy. I know him personally. He wouldn't come off with such a outlandish thing if there wasn't a reason to. Fluoride for years has been shown to affect IQ in children. For years, the development of the brain. For years, it's been linked to different cancers. Why do you think our government protective bodies have decreased the allowable amount in water supply? 2011, it dropped it down to 0.7. And just recently, I think in September, literally, the FDA is going, okay, wait a minute. We either have to ban this stuff or put warnings so people know it's in the water and they can make a choice. Obviously that's what Bobby's saying, but the point is that you could understand the science or not. Just the fact that every year it's coming out, they're looking at the studies going, this is a problem. So what do people need to do? Everybody should be filtering their water with at least an RO system that takes out fluoride, takes out heavy metals, takes out the drugs that are now in the water. So drinking tap water today, not the same as it was 20 years ago.
Right.
I'm probably not great then either.
Yeah, I remember growing up, they said New York had the best tap water.
Yeah, no, it's true. It comes from an aquifer, and
it
they don't have to treat it. Yeah, there's a huge aquifer that sits on the city of New York.
By now, it's probably so bad for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, because again, you're getting other people's hormones. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but if your neighbor's taking estrogen, you're drinking your water, so are you. It's not that simple, but you know what I'm saying, meaning you're taking in a lot of drugs that are in the water, that the filtration systems that it goes through it's not meant to filter out those types of things, right? And then they're adding the fluoride. Oh, and then you're getting the aluminum, right from the jet fuels. I mean, so the point I'm making is, we have to minimize what's coming in, and we can take responsibilities, right? You better be filtering your water with an RO unit, better be making better choices. You're drinking out of glass. That's exactly right. I showed up here immediately, my wife and I are looking for glass, even though the hotel gives us plastic.
Yeah.
I don't want that plastic. And by the way, males, testicles, every male, they're finding plastic. Lowest testosterone in the history of man, lowest sperm counts in the history of humanity, right? And we have plastic in every tissue of our body. And this recent one showing how much is in our brain.
Disgusting.
We better turn down the nozzle we're taking in.
Have you seen any methods of getting rid of the plastics in the body?
Well, look, this is what I've taught for 20 years, how to get rid of this stuff in the tissue. I believe it's the most important thing we can do to live longer healthy, honestly, is to be really just have a know-how of how to get this stuff out of our tissues. So what I've been teaching doctors for 20 years is how we upregulate our cells. Upregulate, what does that mean? If I say things that people may understand, just bust in, man. Okay, so upregulate meaning get going, right? Every cell has detox pathways to protect us from this because toxins are unavoidable. I think we all agree with that to some degree. We're just being onslaughted now. But what happens is because of this onslaught of toxicity, all of the cellular detox pathways just get affected lower and lower and lower and lower to now it's like your drain in your tub, the hair is blocking it, and now the toxins aren't getting out. And one day, that bathtub just keeps filling up because the drain is being squeezed because we're just putting too much in the drain, right? And then that bathtub overflows. And if it was upstairs here, all of a sudden the damage starts. But when it was filling up, we didn't know. We didn't know that bathtub was going to overflow. It was filling up, accumulate. This is our bodies accumulating toxins at the cellular level because the cellular pathways of the detox that every cell has have been diminished, and then boom, overflows, damage. And this is where we are as a country, dealing with the damage, the fallout. So imagine this. Imagine if I had 2 glasses of water, one filled all the way to the top. This is where most of humanity, people in this country, just a little shake, little stress to that bucket, and we cause an overflow, damage, symptoms, if you will. But what if we can get it down to where it's half, quarter, okay? And we shake it then. Now nothing happens. Now we can really stress the system. Nothing happens. This is where we should be. Our cells have to be able to get rid of toxins day in, day out. So to answer your question, that's what I do. That's what I've taught for 20 years. How do we do that? With my children, I told you the story. Instead of teaching doctors, which I still do that, but I've been really excited, with my kids working, starting a company called Pompa program that takes that directly to people looking for an answer.
Right.
Looking for how do I get my life back, right? So now we're teaching people the process, and it's gone viral.
Yeah, I just took the test, so you probably see thousands of results. Is it normally pretty bad?
Normally it's pretty bad.
Yeah, because it's from 0 to 7. The more pink, the worse, right?
So what we did on that particular test, it's a very easy test to assess your cell membranes inflammation. All right. I mean, that's a whole conversation there of why that's important. But for right now, the more inflamed your cell membranes, the worse you feel. Okay. There's a saying, life and death begins on your membranes. And I didn't come up with a saying, but it's true, meaning it impacts health to that degree. It impacts your hormones to that degree. So the membrane, the better the membrane, the easier it is to get in nutrition and to get toxins out of the cell. But when that membrane becomes inflamed, and the number one thing that drives cellular inflammation are these certain toxins that we're discussing. And once that membrane becomes inflamed, now you can't get the good stuff in. Now you can't get the toxins out. Toxins continue to build up in that cell. And the problem with that is now your DNA is in there and the genes start getting triggered. So all of a sudden the susceptibilities of your autoimmune, your thyroid condition, your diabetes that you may have inherited from your parents, because we all get weaknesses, and now they're turned on. That's called epigenetics. So you didn't get the thyroid condition because your mom had it. No, you got a susceptibility, but then that gene got turned on. Again, the number one thing that does that is toxins in the cell.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting, because a lot of people say, oh, I have a family history of this disease, whether it's cancer or something, and then they get it and they're like, oh, it's genetic.
Yeah, so there's maybe 1 to 3% of conditions are purely genetic.
Wow, that's super low.
But most of it is epigenetic, meaning those genes can be turned on and they can be turned off. But just to finish that point is that test looks at cellular inflammation. It's measuring really lipid peroxidation. What does that mean? It means oxidized fat. The membrane, the cell membrane is fat. So we're able to measure that by measuring something called melaldehyde. And then that is a key indicator that your cells are inflamed, oxidized. So your test was actually really good.
Yeah.
Your test looked like
I like
mine.
tests like this that get down to the root cause.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Because the root cause of why most people don't feel well is inflammation. So you said that, right? It's like we're not just measuring something that's, really way downstream as far as like really what it means. We're measuring something of why people don't feel well. When those cells get inflamed,
right.
You don't feel well. So imagine this, and this is why we have so many hormone challenges today. When the cell becomes inflamed, the receptors to hormones are on that membrane. So if we block those receptors, right, and there's multiple ways that happens because of how toxins interact with these, but if we do that, your hormones can't communicate to that receptor. So hormones have to come in and dock or attach to that receptor and get the message in the cell. If something's stopping that, it doesn't matter what your blood levels of the hormones are. It's irrelevant, because if it doesn't get its message in the cell or the hormone gets in the cell, you don't feel well, no matter what. So, that's the issue, is not how high or low your blood hormones level are. I mean, that it matters to some degree, but the bigger issue is, are they getting in the cell? And if your cells are inflamed, the answer is it's being hindered. It's called hormone resistance.
Wow.
So think about insulin resistance, which is type 2 diabetes. You have plenty of insulin, but the problem is it can't get its job done because of the resistance at the membrane. It's like your cell phone. The cell phone is useless if you're in the middle of the desert, even though it's on and working, if there's no tower or it can't connect to a tower. So think of your hormones that way, right? So the moment then the cell phone is able to connect to a tower, okay, now it's working again. So again, when your hormones aren't getting in the cell because something's blocking it, toxins driving inflammation, you're not going to feel good. And you go to your doctor and you say, I think my thyroid's not working because my hair's brittle. I got all these signs, fatigue, I'm gaining weight, I have no energy, I have dry skin. Okay, all of it, constipated. You go and he looks at your blood work, normal. Your thyroid level's normal. Okay, it may be another 10 years before it's out of range. But in the meantime, it's because thyroid hormone isn't getting in the cell because your cells are inflamed because of certain toxins. Or thyroid hormone has to go from an inactive form, T4, okay, that's what most people take when they're taking hormones, and it has to be converted into an active form that's able to go in the cell, called T3.
Yeah.
Certain toxins block that conversion. So that's a big problem of why people can look at their blood and go, it's normal, I'm taking my medication, it's making it normal, but I don't feel well, doc, right? Well, just, keep taking it. Meanwhile, you need more and more hormone typically, even to get the same response, because your cells are becoming more and more deaf to the hormone. It's like shouting at your kids. In the beginning, I don't know if you have kids.
Not yet. Okay. I got dogs though.
Not yet. Okay, well, it's the same with the dogs. But if you shout at them in the beginning, it kind of works, like taking a lot of hormones. But after a while, it works less and less. Right. They start hearing you less and less. But that's the hormone game that we're playing. Even in the alternative world, there's a time and a place for hormones, but it's not the answer. How's it working out? It's not, because we're not getting to the cause, and you said that.
Absolutely. You mentioned cell phones earlier. There's some concerning studies on those now with the EMF, right? Potential birth effects.
Yeah, and there are. There's a lot of studies about that, and people ignore it. But on one of my social media clips that got millions of views, I measured it, and I showed the difference of a cell phone here in your hand on speakerphone, okay, where distance is your friend. That 12 inches is a massive difference in the amount of non-ionizing radiation that creates cellular energy to the point of heat, to the point of damage. So the point is that when you put it here, it's way more damaging than just putting it on speakerphone here. So when I'm on my cell phone, I'm right here. I also did a video that got taken down that had millions of views of using the I don't even want to say them.
AirPods.
Yeah, because every time I say the word, it does. It's like they're protected. So we'll say the things that go in your ear that create music without wires. Okay, the problem is it's massively higher in the amount of EMF that those things are putting off directly into your head. So
that's concerning.
Yeah, so wire in. Use the old style. I hate to tell you.
I actually just got rid of my Tesla.
Yeah, well, I did a video measuring that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And it was high?
Oh, well, okay. I'm going to say this. So in the beginning, these things were way higher. They've shielded them.
Okay.
I think at least people have told me that. I don't know that for sure. But it was not as high as I thought it would be. Your darn cell phone on your ear is worse.
Okay.
But that said, a lot of people can't tolerate Teslas.
Some people get sick in them.
Yeah, exactly. And in the beginning, when they came out, I felt the EMF.
Yeah.
And
you're probably pretty sensitive to it.
I was very sensitive. And I think I still have, I can feel it when I'm in too high of a field.
Yeah. Apparently when you're charging it and sitting in it, that's when it's the highest.
Oh, that would be the highest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to do that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people do that at the supercharging stations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
You don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's some level of EMF there.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like these days, I see all your videos. It's like almost every product you have to look into these days.
You know, Forever Chemicals, I did a lot of videos on. The exposure's unknowing to most people. There's over 10,000 products that we're exposed to. That Forever Chemicals, your audience is so educated, but these are the chemicals, they last forever in the environment. They've been linked and awarded for causing cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Well, that's glyphosate, it's another topic, but all these other cancers, thyroid cancer, hormone disruption. If you haven't seen, have you seen the movie Dark Waters?
No.
Yeah.
Is that the glyphosate movie?
No, that is about the Forever Chemicals.
Oh, okay.
Watch Dark Waters. This attorney really went up against the big boys in this industry who knew they were causing this problem.
Whoa.
And now millions and millions of dollars have been awarded to people damaged by these chemicals. And it's scary. I took a picture of the end of the movie because it said 99.9% of every living creature on the earth, they're finding these forever chemicals in.
So it's in us right now.
It's in us.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a massive hormone disruptor. Where are we getting these exposures? The biggest one was Teflon.
Really?
Yeah, so the non-stick pans, there's been some videos out there on Teflon flu and how people in the home getting headaches and they don't realize it's their pans.
Wow.
Yeah, so Teflon flu, but there's so many other sources. Water-resistant clothing, dental floss, the Glide.
Yeah, I used to use those.
Exactly. A lot of the, not all, but you have to find the dental flosses that don't have it. Certain eye drops, tissues, just everything stain resistant. I mean, all of these things carry these forever chemicals that are getting inside of us and our children, causing hormone disruption. You add it to the plastic, you add it to the mercury, you add it to the aluminum.
So nuts.
Yeah, you better know how to detox correctly. And I want to point out that, though, it's not like people, they think that there's all these detox scams out there. Take these drops, take the detox drops. It's not like that. It's not that simple.
Yeah, parasite cleanse.
Yeah, I mean, all of it, right? And people that have parasites to a problem, there's something bringing their immune system down that's allowing it. When I was sick myself, and I had to beat back parasites. I kept getting parasites. It was because it was my immune system that was being distracted.
Oh.
The fact that I had such high mercury levels in my brain.
So they got through your system.
Yeah. So they're opportunistic, right?
Yeah.
So Epstein-Barr, 70-80% of the population has Epstein-Barr, but why aren't they all sick? It's opportunistic. Lyme, they're finding 90% of certain areas in the Northeast have Lyme disease, but they're not sick, right? So it's opportunistic, right? There's certain parasites like T. gondii. It's a parasite. There was just a recent article in it. Like 60 million people are estimated to be affected by T. gondii, but people are fine until something brings down their immune system, and then this parasite goes crazy. And that's the parasite that people think you just get from cat boxes. You get it from not like fruits and vegetables, right? Especially sprayed ones where these things can exist because the plant doesn't have defenses, right? So anyways, the bottom line is people have this in them for years. And in the article, it said then all of a sudden they end up sick. And it's like as if they just got it, but they had it for years. Same with Epstein-Barr, oftentimes, same with other parasites.
That would make sense why the pandemic was so deadly, because everyone's immune systems got weakened.
Absolutely.
So if these parasites are already in your bodies.
It comes out.
Wow, I never knew that. I always thought you ate something and then.
Yeah, and that parasite stays in the body. Not every parasite does that. However, once your immune system's down here, your exposure, I mean, getting things off of fruits and vegetables is very common. But your body deals with it when its immune system is normal.
Yeah.
But when it's not, the force field is low. Now these things proliferate. They take over. They're
I can
active.
see that.
Yeah, think of your immune system as the force field. right? It's protecting you always. But what if something's bringing down the force field, right? Now, candida, now parasites, right? Now these things run, rampant. I was constantly having to knock back my candida as well.
Wow.
And I would just come back. I'd battle it until I got my mercury level down to a certain point. Then my immune system was working with me. No more candida problems or parasite problems.
What diet were you on to fix your sickness?
When I was sick, I couldn't tolerate any grains hardly at all. My gut was leaky at a point, but now I can eat gluten and without reacting. But so I stuck to a very, meat and vegetable diet. Honestly, that just did the best for me.
Yeah, I think if people are sick, just eliminating is the best diet, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can just take away a lot of those things and, just to give your body a chance to de-inflame and the gut to heal. And of course, I went all organic. Of course, I mean, I was eating well before I got sick. I was healthy, but I mean, I grew up healthy. I didn't grow up the way kids did. This was back in 1999 when I first started getting sick. But I mean, it was just the amount of mercury I was accumulating. Again, it was filling my bucket. Then I had 2 silver fillings drilled out.
Damn.
And that's when my bucket overflowed.
Whoa.
And I was living in a low-grade moldy home at the time and didn't know it. But it took me 3 years to figure out that is what it was. So I chased my adrenals, I chased my thyroid, I chased these gut problems, I chased it all. And I could fix none of them until I got to the cause. And that when I realized then I was working with a very bright endocrinologist because I knew my thyroid wasn't working right, even though my blood work was normal. But it was definitely low function. And he said, I think you have mercury toxicity. Your body temperatures are low, and sometimes they're up, and I'm sweating at night. And I said, yeah, I thought so too. A year or so before that, I found Mad Hatter's disease. And what that is that people were using mercury that made felt hats because it attenuated molds in the felt. But anyways, they were known as Mad Hatters.
Yeah.
I had every symptom, the irritability. I had every symptom. So I'm like, this is it. So I went and I remember I got $5,000 worth of blood work that day.
Jesus.
As well. I ran everything I could because I was at Allegheny General Hospital, the best head of toxicology. I ran all these blood work tests. I mean, every cancer markers, autoimmune markers, you name it, I ran it. And one of the tests was the mercury blood test. Came back normal. Matter of fact, all my tests came back normal.
Whoa.
I mean, relatively. His exact words were, son, you're healthier than me. So, of course, that was not a good day. I left there like really.
I would have been pissed.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to find something wrong, right? I was looking for my answer. But anyway, so I said, no, I did a blood test. It was normal. He said, it's the wrong test. That's if you had an acute exposure like the Mad Hatters, then you would it would show up in the blood. But it's not going to be in the blood because it's in your tissues. Oh, it was. It was in my brain.
Wow.
It was all through my body.
Now I see why you started the company then.
Yeah, well, that's it. My passion, pain to purpose.
Yeah, that's good for people to know though, because they think they get a regular blood test at the hospital. It measures like 10 things. They're good.
Yeah. It's. Listen, I did it all. I had access to conventional testing, unconventional testing. I did it all, and again, how did I get my life back? And people see all my videos of these people that their testimonies are pretty amazing. Get to the cause.
Yeah.
Right. And even alternative medicine today, I've been more critical because we're doing a lot of fancy genetic testing, a lot of fancy tests, but ultimately, how do people get their lives back? You have to remove the interference and the body will heal. It sounds so simple, but yet we're violating it constantly. Your body, we're not getting these chronic diseases, most of which because we lack things. Yeah, I mean, granted, do people lack vitamin D, vitamin K2, iodine, certain minerals? Absolutely. But most of it is because we are building up a level of toxicity that is absolutely decimating our immune system, our gut. You can try to fix your gut, till the cows come home, as the saying goes, but you're not going to be able to fix it unless you figure out what toxins are upstream, up the river further, that are killing all the fish downstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's your microbiome. But yeah, so we have to get to these causes. If we don't, people aren't going to get their lives back. That's my passion. I have to tell this part of the story always because I think it'll give people hope. But when I was at my worst, I had 2 young kids at the time. I have 5 now. But my wife, who it's always very hard on the other loved ones around you. And I hid it from my indirect family because I was embarrassed that I was sick. But she literally on her knees crying out to God for an answer for me and the family. God spoke to her heart and said, not only am I going to get him well, but he's going to take a message to the world. And when she would tell me that, I would say, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear that because that just puts more pressure on me. I can't even get myself well. And well, here I sit here because she was right. I've been taking a message to the world. So our family saying is from pain to purpose, because everything I teach came out of my illness. But pain to purpose to promise. So meaning that was the promise God gave that my wife held on to, my kids held on to, and I eventually held on to. I was the slowest to come around.
Man, that's beautiful, dude. That's so beautiful. And now you're getting millions of views a day. I just saw your video on Christmas trees, artificial Christmas trees. That was concerning. No one's ever talked about that.
Yeah, it's the flame retardant. I smell it. When you buy new things, electronics, cell phones, computers,
cars,
Christmas cars, in the seats, that smell is, it's a chemical concoction, but it's very high in bromine. Well, why is that a concern? Because bromine disrupts thyroid. It's a thyroid disruptor, and it's linked to cancer and other things. But the problem is people are taking so much of this chemical in. So when I get my cell phones, they're wiped down. I like vinegar or hydrogen peroxide. But that Christmas tree, we had to wipe every limb. and luckily, I smell it. Like Susan, I was like, oh man, this is loaded. So we used vinegar, and I had, kids,
every single branch?
Every branch, It took under an hour. It wasn't even that long.
Well, there's like 5 of you guys, though.
Yeah, exactly, But, so you have to be really careful of what you're bringing in the house. So if it's summertime, it's easy. You can put it outside in the sun, and it literally gases off. The sun literally causes this off-gassing to happen very fast.
That's so nuts. When people get a new car, they're like, "Oh, new car smell."
And that's the flame retardant in the electronics and in the seats, the foam of the seats.
Gosh.
So again, when I get a new car, I put it I off gas it. I put it in the heat, but then don't get in the car. Right, the worst thing you can do is there's your car off gassing, heated up, windows closed, then you get in it and turn your H system on, and it's blowing bromine right in your face. So literally, I off gas it. It's the first year's the worst.
That's so nuts. I got to get a real tree this year.
Well, again, and then they're now selling healthier trees because a lot of chemicals.
Oh, really?
Because you're bringing a lot of chemicals. I have to do that video.
Wow.
Actually, you're bringing a lot of different chemicals in your house when you bring a real tree in, oftentimes.
Really?
People have brought ticks in and got tick bites. So you have to be careful. Now, it depends on what area you're in. If you're in a cold area, you're not going to bring ticks in the winter with a Christmas tree, but warmer areas,
holy crap.
Can. But the chemicals you're bringing in, so again, a lot of people that they buy a regular Christmas tree, they hose it off just to get the chemicals off.
I guess pesticides, right?
Exactly.
I didn't even think about
but see,
that.
I don't even understand that because until I heard that, because pine trees are hardy.
Right.
They typically don't. So I don't know like where these chemicals that, why they're spraying them with pesticides that you'd think that they don't need, but the industry's so it's so much money that if there's even one, pest that could take down their profits, they're going to go after it.
Because they probably want them to grow as quick as possible and as healthy as possible.
Exactly.
Damn.
So they're using chemicals. But.
Where are you grocery shopping these days?
Honestly, we have a little grocery store in our area. We have a Whole Foods and we have the little one. We prefer the little one.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, Whole Foods is just, it's getting, I literally have to do videos there to say, hey, this is what's healthy, this is what's not, right? It's getting harder. You get a lot of rancid, bad seed oils in a lot of health food stores. You still have to be cautious of.
I used to love the Whole Foods hot food bar, but then I saw your video on all the seed oils and that. I was like, wow, I got to cut that out.
Seed oils is very misunderstood even right now in the alternative world. Everyone has come after omega-6. Omega-6 is so bad, right? Omega-6 is so bad. Well, omega-6, rancid omega-6 is bad, right? So the seed oils that are very high in omega-6, they're bad because they're rancid. So when you buy them in potato chips or pretzels or processed foods, those foods on the deli, they're so heated, they're rancid. And the reason they're bad is because omega-6 in that cell membrane is so important. So the fact is that those rancid omega-6 go right into the membrane where they belong, but they're rancid and oxidized, and so they disrupt the function of the membrane. I already made the argument for how important that is for your hormones and just feeling normal. But that's why seed oils are damaging. So could seed oils be done right? Yeah, they can. Cold pressing, but you're not going to find that in a processed packaged food. It's not. It's a very, like if you open a bottle of real sesame seed oil, it's like, oh, it smells like sesame seeds, right? That's cold pressed, protected. So seed oils could be good, but what we're ingesting is all rancid omega-6 in these seed oils.
Canola oil.
Yeah, canola oil, vegetable oil, they're always rancid, always.
Even some olive oil I heard is
even
infected.
some olive oil,
Yeah,
right?
with seed oils.
Yeah, even avocado oil, they're cutting now with other oils.
Damn.
Yeah, so you have to even be careful with that. You have to make sure it's 100% pure. It's just like the olive oil game. They were cutting olive oil with vegetable oil.
I order mine from Brian Johnson now.
Yeah,
I pay a little more, but I'd rather have the peace of mind.
Well, that's a first pressed oil. So that's a really good oil. I do too.
Yeah. Did you see what they are spraying the vegetables with at the grocery stores? Like that mist?
Yeah.
Is that water or what is that?
Yeah, it's something Max, it's called. But it's not just water. So they use like a bleach in it because it keeps the vegetables staying fresher.
Wow.
But most people aren't choosing to consume bleach, even though in those amounts they're saying is safe. Well, I don't want bleach sprayed on my vegetables. Yeah.
Have you seen the APL yet?
Yeah, APL. Yeah.
Is that at the stores yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's at the stores now. You have to ask your grocery store, do you use APL? And some Whole Foods, I think, are saying no now. Maybe some aren't, but Sprouts was using it. Maybe they
Sprouts
changed.
uses it? Oh.
Yeah, maybe they changed. Again, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus if I don't know for sure, because I know a lot of these companies are pulling back.
Yeah.
But that said, so what they're doing, it sounds so innocent. They're using like the peels of fruits and vegetables, and it's this protective coating that makes the food last longer. And think about how wonderful that is. But the problem is that you're concentrating all of the pesticides in this, this coating that you're putting on. I don't want that.
Yeah. I get it from a business point of view, but just health-wise, it doesn't make sense. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're always trying to cut costs. Yeah, your videos are so interesting because the kitchen is a really dangerous place if you don't know what you're doing, basically.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, people just use plastic cutting boards, and the amount of plastic you're getting in just, from using that is a big problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the nonstick stuff that people are using that has the forever chemicals in it. I did a video that got 2 million views on sponges.
I saw that one.
Well, it was funny. This is a funny story because I was out with a couple whose kitchen that was last night.
Oh, yeah?
So they're like, yeah, Pompa pulls out my sponge. 2 million people know that my sponges. I'm like, no, everyone's are. Here was the best part. She had the better answer. They have those silicone things that you can rub on the pans, right, which are better. But sponges hold bacteria. And people, look, if you got new ones every 2 days, it would be one thing, right? But the fact is they're there for weeks, right?
Man.
And these things, then people throw them in the dishwasher.
That's gross.
But the study showed it didn't kill them because it just tucked in, deeper into the.
I love the scrub daddies, but when I saw that video, I was like, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people use them to clean their counters too, so they're just spreading.
No, and then you're spreading bacteria.
Oh my God.
And I'm no bacteria monger. I don't fear bacteria, but the level of bacteria in that is really nasty. Did you see the video I did on the hand dryers?
No.
Okay, it was funny. This is kind of a COVID funny thing because that's when these dryers went in everywhere because God forbid, we might transmit bacteria if people touch the paper towel machine. I don't know. But anyway, so the hand dryers went in everywhere. The fact is they spread bacteria like far worse. So people put their hands in. So they put augers and collected bacteria in bathrooms that had them, bathrooms that didn't, and it was massive difference of bacterial spread. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that because that's in every high school bathroom in public places.
Absolutely. And they did it because, it'll lessen the transmission of bacteria. Exact opposite. You know, so
I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but when I go in a public restroom with urinals, I hold my breath.
Yeah.
Like it's just like shit, like the smell from the urinal plus like all the other stuff.
God, yeah, all the air fresheners too. It's like
it's
terrible.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I think I did a video on the most overlooked toxin in the home is, I believe, fragrance. Okay. So yes, people use plugins probably because they're covering up a mold smell, which is a whole nother argument for causing health problems. But anyway, but the plugins, these things on average have like 6 neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors in them. I mean, these things are horrible. And then what are people washing their clothes in? When you walk by their washroom, you know if it's a hormone disrupting washroom or not. No, I did a video where my wife and I were walking our dogs. Yeah. And literally, you could tell the homes you would walk by, and I would say, those homes are hormonally disrupted. My wife would be like, what do you mean? I'm like, you could smell the fabric softener and the scents that are massive hormone disruptors. What you wash your clothes in is a big thing, right? And because you're washing your seats, you're in them 8 hours, and your clothes are on you for whatever 8 hours. It's these chemicals absorb through your skin. It's transdermal. And these hormone disruptors, that's how we put on hormones a lot, is transdermal. And you're putting these hormone disruptors into your body every day. These scents they're protected by IP laws, meaning they don't even have to tell you the chemicals that they're putting into these scents. Yeah, so that's why they're deadly. And matter of fact, a lot of these things are outlawed and they're still in these fragrances. So I avoid fragrance in shampoos, what we're washing our dishes in, our clothes in, cleaners, plug-ins. Avoid fresheners, avoid all these scents. Bad stuff, unless it's from essential oils. Yeah. Right, so.
What about candles?
Yeah, same thing. Natural essential oil candle, totally different. But all those fragrances, avoid them.
That's crazy. Yeah, the clothing, I've been looking into, like the polyester stuff is terrible for you. That's plastic, right?
Yep.
So I try to wear linen or organic cotton.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, especially the underwear. I did a video on that because, again, these are fragile tissues here, very absorbent. You don't want to put chemicals close to those. I had Instagram put false evidence, partly or false, anyways, evidence on one of my videos I did with tampons having arsenic and lead, but they did. And so I sent them the study. I'm like, so it's like, I'm not just mouthing off here. Here it is, right? And the problem with that is again, it's the tissues that it's touching. Yeah. Right. So
did they update the video or no?
I think that one they actually did after we sent them the study. But there was another one that I did recently. They didn't. I was like, man, that's not right.
I haven't been hit with one of those in a while. Was this recently?
Yeah, it was recently.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because I thought they leaned off of that after the Trump stuff got.
Yeah, well, praise God that they are going to be leaning off. Yeah. So,
I can't even mention like autism. I know. Like the C word. Like if you cure anything.
I know. We don't use the C word, right? We don't use the C word. But yeah, and you can't. That's not free speech, right? You should still have a right to, even if it's not a correct statement, a false statement, you still have a right to bring it, your opinion, right? Even if I don't agree with your opinion. But that's not what's happened on social media, is it?
Not at all. Yeah. But that's the goal with my show. I'll have on both sides, and I'll let my viewers decide on who they lean towards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I thank God we still live in a country, I think it's going to get better, that we can have different opinions. And talk about it and debate about it. But that wasn't what was happening.
No. Yeah. Not the past few years.
Right. Not the past few years.
You get shadow banned.
And that's the thing is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't care what side you're on. Didn't people see that? I mean, it was insane.
I mean, Facebook admitted they were censoring certain things.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Now Zuckerberg went to meet with Trump. This is
he just donated $1 million.
I think he should have donated more. I mean, all the damage he caused. Right? Yeah. I mean, come on, man. He took the president, and booted him off his. It's like, come on. Man.
That was crazy.
I think if I would have sat down with Zuckerberg, the first question I would have asked is why? Why'd you do it? Who made you do it? I want to know.
He probably got some pressure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Elon Musk has been under attack too lately.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. How are we criticizing these people? Again, forget about your sides. These people are going to go, I don't care what side you're on. The government is polluted, man. Talk about waste. Yeah. Right? It's like they're going to go in from a business perspective and clean this. Who is against this? How is this possible?
I saw Elon realized how many people were working from home at the government, it was like 99%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Like you're talking about waste right there.
That's crazy.
That was one of the big things he did with Twitter. He got criticized for. He's like letting all these people go, come back to work or go, right? He let all the company go. Oh, it's going to go out of business. No, it's running leaner than ever with a fraction of the employees.
And now they're like the #1 social media platform in terms of views, I think.
Yeah. I thought he was going to fail. Everyone said,
I did doubt him too.
Yeah. I think everyone to some point was like, oh my gosh, a little like that's insane. He's getting rid of all these people, right? It's
yeah. Yeah, he set a precedent, man. Are you going to be working with RFK?
Yeah, we're doing a lot. We're doing some documentaries and things with Jeff Hayes. Have you ever interviewed Hayes? Yeah, you interviewed Jeff.
What does he do?
He's a documentary guy.
Okay.
He's put out some the real Fauci. I mean, he's put out some controversial stuff. Amazing work he does. So yeah, with Dell Big Tree, we're going to be putting out some amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've never seen politics care about health ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And again, put your politics aside, man. He has been and always was for making America healthy again, and his heart is for children.
Yeah.
I mean, I know him, man. It's like he is so for it and about it, and he always has been before he ever had any desire to enter the ring of politics. Yeah. This is what his game was. He cleaned up the Hudson, man.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, if people really care and understand the environment, this dude has done more for the environment than most people with just talking points, and the whole movement is now all political, and it's really not even about, making the environment clean because they're missing the real problems. This guy doesn't.
Yeah. So I love how he speaks his mind. He's the first one I've seen in that space questioning vaccines for kids.
Yeah. Look, if people understood, because I know that people are saying anti-vaxxer, he's this, right? And they're labeling him, right? And Big Pharma, I'm sure, is really driving that. The vaccines are, again, I might get this shut down, but it's true. It's the cash cow of Big Pharma. And the reason it is for two things. And these two things are exactly what Bobby wants to change, right? And if people understood that, I believe people from all sides would go, well, that's smart. Of course we want that. Here's what he wants. And this is all he wants. Number one, he wants every vaccine to be treated like every other drug, meaning you have to prove safety through double-blind clinical trials. Wait a minute, we're doing that. No, they're not. And he's proven it. Go to the NIH website and you can see that they're not. Okay, they're not. They don't have to prove safety. And as a matter of fact, when they prove safety, they actually go to another level of responsibility, basically, opening themselves up, making them more vulnerable. Number two, is vaccines are the only drug that you cannot sue a drug company for damage.
Wow.
Meaning if you get injured. Can't sue for injury.
That's crazy.
They've established the vaccine court, which is bankrupt, that you have to sue the government in order to get any type of, basically money damages. But yeah, that's the sad reality. So Bobby wants to change those two things. Who is against this? Like, wait, it should be treated just like every other drug, prove safety, right? That alone is going to make a safer product. Number two, that we can be able to sue if we're damaged, like every other drug. So therefore, that's why they'll spend billions of dollars oftentimes to prove safety, but also to make the safest product, right? Okay, well, that's not happening in the vaccine
That's
world.
crazy.
Yeah.
Did you get them on your kids, the vaccines?
No, we did not.
Nice.
No, because again, I was just, I'm not going to sit here and tell anyone to vaccinate or not vaccinate. I'm not going to hang myself from a noose.
Yeah.
But when I looked into it fully, this is just a choice that my wife and I were like, no way, right? Yes, vaccines have a lot of different toxins in them, which they would argue is okay because this is worse if a child gets this condition or disease. I argue against that. The amount of mercury that was in these vaccines was causing problems. They started taking it out. It's gone back in a lot of ways, but more aluminum was going in. Why are they putting these things in there? They're called adjuncts, meaning that they're there to stimulate the immune system against a dead virus. So it's how it works. And mercury's great because it also attenuates any of the bacteria pathogens, right? So, and by the way, many vaccines are in multi-stick vials, still contain mercury.
Wow.
Because it's great to keep it from contamination. So
crazy.
But the point is that, so the toxicity is one problem, but there's another problem. It stimulates a wrong immune system, meaning that when you get measles, mumps, rubella, these childhood diseases, it stimulates a Th1 reaction. That's an immune response that lasts forever. Okay, you have it. But vaccines stimulate a Th2, which is an emergency reaction. That's why you need boosters. It's not forever. It's for a period of time. So when you get the vaccine, it works in the sense that it raises up antibodies, but it only lasts so long. So you need a booster and a booster. Well, every time you re-stimulate a Th2, re-stimulate, you're creating this emergency reaction again and again. And many feel that's leading to more autoimmune, in many fields leading to cancer and other problems that we're seeing a rise in. And again, I'm not saying, I'm not telling anyone, but people need to know the truth. Yeah. And I believe we need to make these safer, and I believe we need more studies, and that's what Bobby wants.
Yeah, and then we should at least be able to question it, right?
That's right.
Because before you would get canceled.
That's right. We should be able to question it, right? And then people can make a decision whether they want to vaccinate their child or not.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone should have that choice.
I remember I played sports in high school. You had to get vaccines to play.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let you compete.
Well, in your generation, very different than mine. I probably had 4 vaccines in my life.
I think I had about 50.
Yeah. And today it's like, what, 78?
Yeah,
78.
And going up every few years.
And keep going up. Yeah. I mean, I think most parents are concerned, especially moms. Husbands, sorry, we just, it's a little different. But yeah, moms intuitively go, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And, when you look at the rise of autism and where it is, where it's going. Again, we threaten to get this shut down. We have to be a little careful here, unfortunately. But look, I mean, people just need to dig a little deeper.
Absolutely.
And you'll go, what?
When was the last time you used a microwave?
I don't remember. That's how long it is. Yeah. I dug into that. My son and I were doing a video, and him and I really dug into that whole thing. And about like you can't put blood in it, right? And, you can't warm blood in it and things of that sort. There's a lot of myths around it, but it's still the way it speeds up the molecules and heats food. Yeah, there's no doubt some damaging effects that take place. And
it cooks out the nutrients, right?
Yeah, and it cooks out the nutrients. And, so that is the truth to it. But there's also a lot of, myths around that too. But still enough that where I won't use it.
Yeah, I stopped recently. I only use oven now to warm up food.
Yeah, us too. Or in a pan, something like that.
When was the last time you ate fast food?
I was this was college. So this is even before I bailed on, I was raised on, an Italian, home cooked meals, right? I mean, it's like we didn't go out to fast food. And even when I was able to go out to fast food in high school, I rarely did it. So here I am in college, and I was at State College. I went to University of Pittsburgh, but I was up visiting my girlfriend at that time at State College, and someone bet me. It was the end of an evening. I'm sure it was a drinking evening, and someone bet me or paid me. And it was $20.
That's a lot back then.
Okay, so $20 that I needed probably for gas to get home. Yeah. So anyways, paid me $20 to eat a Big Mac, right? And I did. I think it was the McDLT back then.
Yeah.
Remember those? Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
Anyway, it was two before your time. But anyway, I ate it, and we were standing there talking, everyone's talking, and I'm like, I start getting this wretched stomach ache. It's a true story. Now, keep in mind, I didn't eat this stuff, right? And so literally on the way across the street after we left, I vomited it up. So they were like, damn, I want my money back. You vomited. So that wasn't the deal.
It was that atrocious. Wow, well done. You've held out for a long time.
That's a long time, huh?
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I can't say the same. I like In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I know it's bad for me, but
you do pretty well, though. Like, you've changed your ways, man. I mean, your test was
pretty good.
It was good, yeah. I mean, again, when you get someone you said was all the way to the right as a 7, and that means you have a lot of membrane oxidation, right? And so many people are that way, and so the fact that you're in the normal.
Well, talking to people like you, Gary Brecka, and all these biohackers has changed my life.
Yeah.
Now I sauna almost every day.
Yeah.
I'm constantly detoxing as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, I'm gonna, and these are good. I love saunas, right? But what people think detox is, remember, you have to fix these like your cells are working good. Otherwise, your membrane would be inflamed, right? But your cells are doing a good job getting rid of toxins, even though you're exposed to them. but that's not the majority of people.
Right.
Once these cellular pathways start to decrease, toxins build up in the cell. That's where real detox is. So it's not a foot bath. It's not, this 10-day cleanse and the drops and all these things, Corella, cilantro. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
There's 20 years of teaching this process of upregulating cells, how to use these chelators properly within their half-life, and then using bind. Anyways, it's a whole process that I teach.
Absolutely. Where can people find out more about this and yourself, man?
Yeah, they can go to, if they want to watch a training I did, same training I did for doctors, it's free. If they go to pompaprogram.com, they can see that. Perfect. And it's good.
We'll link it below as well as your Instagram, man. Thanks for coming
and the
on.
same test, they'll have access to the same test you took.
Perfect.
It's a good
it was
starting
pretty
point.
easy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Yep.